In the early days of Myntra, when Mukesh Bansal was travelling back and forth between India and the US every month, he ended up in an emergency room in California. What Bansal tried to shrug off his jet lag turned out to be a viral form of meningitis. While the thought of giving up entrepreneurship did occur to him as he struggled to manage his health while meeting the demands of bootstrapping a company, but followed after his recovery was the rise of Myntra and Bansal's obsession with physical and mental well-being, which has now resulted in his new book, Hacking Health. Over the last 16 years, Mukesh Bansal, by his own admission, turned himself into a guinea pig of sorts, experimenting with varied diets and workouts to see what works for him and what doesn't. From getting himself tested at the Human Longevity Center in San Diego to using biohacking tools on a daily basis, he has done it all, and he says hacking health is simple. Sleep more, eat less, and always move. In fact, in 2016, I remember asking Bansal after he exited Flipkart where he could set up his next venture. I'm not surprised. He said health. Cult.fit, which Bansal co-founded later that year, currently runs 600 Cult.fit centers across India and helps people control diabetes and work on their physical and mental health. The Tata Digital and Zomato-backed company now aims to become fit for an IPO in the next 12 to 18 months. The last couple of years have certainly made us all act on our holistic well-being more than ever before. What's also in the spotlight today are the pressures of running a startup and the toll that it takes on young entrepreneurs. As we learn in this book, Bansal knows it all too well. Hello and welcome to Young Turks, India's longest-running show on startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Shireen Bhan, and to talk about his latest book on living a healthy life and his journey to being a holistic entrepreneur, joining me on the show is Mukesh Bansal. Mukesh, always a pleasure. It's great to have you back on Young Turks. Thanks very much for joining us. And, you know, we have enjoyed reading your book, Hacking Health. And his claim is the only book you'll ever need to live your healthiest life. Mukesh Bansal, are you living your healthiest life today?
Absolutely, Shireen. I think health is an obsession, passion, and also a profession for me. As part of Cult.fit, something, I've been working on last 7 years. But for me, health and fitness goes a long way. I've always been very active, learning about health, trying different things. And over a period of time, I've learned, health is simultaneously very simple and very complex. As you earlier mentioned, if I have to simplify, it just boils down to eat less, sleep more, always move. But then there are so many myths and so many fads and so much clutter, and it gets very confusing for people to figure out how to pursue healthy lifestyle. So in this book, I have tried to distill down everything I've learned about healthy lifestyle from my own experiments, research, talking to experts, as well as all our experience at Cult, delivering good health for millions of people. So all of that, hopefully everything people need to know for pursuing healthy lifestyle, where they can both understand the science behind it, ancient wisdom, a lot of places ancient wisdom validates what modern science now knows, and simple tools that people can practice.
Well, speaking of tools, etc., and you also talked about how health has become an obsession as far as you're concerned. I have to honestly say, Mukesh, when I was looking at all the stuff that you're experimenting with and the regimen that you follow, I'm frankly intimidated. You've got an Aura ring that's worn on the finger that tracks all kinds of body function, a Whoop band, a Muse headband, a Med wand, a hyperbaric oxygen therapy chamber. I mean, I'm frankly intimidated. How do you manage to keep pace with all of this? And is the line between understanding your own body better and this becoming obsessive, it's a fine one, isn't it?
No, it's a fine balance. And I think, to be clear, to pursue healthy lifestyle, people need to do very few things in a very simple manner. But today, our understanding of health is growing by leaps and bounds. Everything about body is easily, measurable, from your continuous glucose monitoring to, you mentioned, very fine sleep tracking through Oura ring and things like that. I do that mostly to learn about the space, to see like what are there any new insights, a new way of understanding or how our health works. So a lot of it is really experimentation, partly also because I'm part of Cult, learning about new health trends, what's going to happen. But all of it, I think, I would say more for curiosity and hobby. There are a lot of tools available to people when you're looking for that last 5% optimization. But to pursue healthy lifestyle, you don't need to do all of that. Just a simple focus on diet, some kind of activity routine. It does, whether it's a gym or going for a walk, swim, running, yoga, you can do something at home, doesn't really matter, right? So I think that it's a very fascinating that, on one hand, the area of health is so complicated, right? And I really immensely enjoy learning about it, talking to world-renowned expert, visiting all these centers, getting new insights. But then, if you, a lot of them just validates what we have always known, since in ancient times. So in some ways, it's kind of back to square one as far as, pursuit of healthy lifestyle is concerned.
Yes, in many ways it is back to square one. But Mukesh, you talked about this insatiable curiosity that you currently have, trying to understand immunity better, trying to understand health better. How much of this is now likely to translate into business ideas? This is a space that's opening up. We've got a whole bunch of people looking at different aspects of the health economy, not just wearables and so on and so forth, but what goes into your body in terms of what you're actually consuming, immunity boosters, there's startups, there's large FMCG companies are looking at this space. How do you see the health economy evolving, and what is it going to mean now for Cult going forward?
I think it's an incredible business opportunity because, as you said, everyone is developing an interest in health. People don't necessarily know exactly where to start, what's the first step they should take. So there is, you need guidance, you need inspiration, you need tools, and all of it translates into a variety of health opportunities. We are seeing all these sleep fitness companies coming up, which are doing trackers and mattresses, sleep meditation kind of things. You have, variety of um, things related to nutrition, whether it's packaged food, ready to eat, cooked food or supplements that are coming up. The whole variety of fitness regimen that you can get into both at home and outside. And a lot of companies have identified these are opportunities, right? And creating specialized solutions. Some are still in the lab. Some is like really cutting edge out there. Things like cold baths. There are devices available for that. We are seeing cryo chambers coming up in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore. Flotation tanks are coming up, right? So all of those make it easy, convenient, sometimes fun, something new to try out, and each of them are a potential business opportunity. I think pandemic has in some ways woken up everyone to health. We have seen throughout the pandemic that people who have been pursued healthy lifestyle, who are on the healthier, fitter side, they were either not affected, even if they caught COVID, their symptoms were milder, recovery is faster. And I think it's been, last 2 years, everyone has learned that healthy lifestyle is very important. So there is a big trend from consumer side to adopt. At CureFit, we're working on various aspects of it. Fitness is our core focus. We built a whole array of now fitness products ranging for apparel, footwear, indoor fitness equipment, outdoor cycles, and so on. We have created a solution for diabetes. It's called SugarFit, which using continuous glucose monitoring is able to give you real-time insights and guidance about how you manage. You have MindFit to focus on mental health, sleep quality, and so on. And there's some more cutting edge stuff we are working on, which hopefully in the coming years we should be able to translate into products and services.
Well, that gives us an insight into what the plan is. But I also want to understand from you, there was in fact, just the last few days, this week itself, the regulator putting out a report saying that they had studied samples of so-called supplements, protein supplements, etc., and found that a large majority, in fact, was either substandard or did not meet the claims that had been put out by the manufacturers. Now, as this space opens up, as the health economy evolves, what do you think is the need of the hour in terms of regulation? Because, this is also imperative that we do this mindfully,
Right.
that people in this space address the opportunity mindfully.
No, absolutely. See, health is the most important thing that all of us have. I think this has been one of my motivation writing this book, that as consumers, we should all be well informed. We should just not take someone's, word for granted. There is, fortunately now, there is a lot of science behind health, which wasn't the case 20 or 30 years ago. A lot of fads will come in, people will blindly follow. So today, if people get some effort to understand what are the fundamentals, what are the basics, no-brainer things like, for example, there may be a variety of supplements, but the impact of just a simple whey protein may be dramatically more compared to variety of, other supplements, which may be, borderline, questionable. You are right that we need to work with regulators. There need to be better oversight. There are some very high quality brands in India which are already operating, but then there are a lot of, people just starting out, maybe cutting corners and so on. So it's very important, but ultimately I think health, your and my health in our hands. And there are so many things we can do just in our home, our kitchens, how we structure our day, some of the healthy habits we can adopt. So we don't have to be too dependent on this solution novelties. We can always straddle on the side of mainstream science. We can also look at, a lot of people in health talk about don't eat something, let's say, which is made in a plant, eat something which grows on a plant,
Yeah.
right? Or don't eat stuff that your, grandparents may not recognize. So we can fall back on some of these things that, people have known over, ages. And just, practicing yoga is no brainer. You don't need, any validation because it's been there for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Fasting, intermittent fasting may be cool now, but in, all religion traditions, especially in India, we have all kind of fasting regimens. Now, what science tells us that it does not matter how you fast, whether it's once a week or, extended period or intermittent fasting, they all do the same thing in terms of much better fat, regulation, so that your body is able to metabolize fat better, and you are able to, use calories more optimally. So things like that, right? So yes, there needs to be some oversight, but there is a lot that, just you and I can do on our own. And so is, anybody who's willing to put in some effort to understand health. It's not very complicated.
Yes, I think common sense and balance is important and imperative, really, as you try and chart out a roadmap for yourself. And I think it boils down to individual choices as well. But Mukesh, you talked about some of these opportunities and, of course, what you're trying to do through Cult. But you are, of course, a serial entrepreneur. You've always sort of spotted trends ahead of the curve. Are you looking at investing in startups with founders who are looking at this space at this point in time?
We certainly, I think, Cult, our ambition has been to be one-stop shop for everything for healthy lifestyle. Some of our earlier growth also happened through acquisition, so we are quite open to partnering with anyone who is innovating in this space. It could be a business partnership, it could be an acquisition opportunity, and so on. I mean, we eventually want to, Cult to be that one-stop shop where everything about healthy lifestyle is available, is validated, scientifically validated, it's tested thoroughly, so that the quality is very high, something can be trusted, just like Cult sent us today. So absolutely very interested in hearing everything about all the innovation in health and fitness.
Okay, let me move away from physical health and mental health for a little bit and talk about the health of India's startup ecosystem, Mukesh, because, you've had a ringside view and a ringside seat. So let me understand from you what you make of what is going on currently. We've, of course, seen, up cycles and down cycles. We're currently going through a down cycle, and this is, of course, driven by what we're seeing happen globally as well. How concerned are you about what you see today and the impact of this liquidity drying up, of the funding winter? How do you see this impacting the startup ecosystem in India?
Yeah, Shireen, fortunately for me, like going all the way back to my Bay Area days, this is, I think, my fifth business cycle I'm going through. So, there are times when we all get carried away as an ecosystem. There are excesses, which I think certainly were there, after pandemic. And now I think there is a bit of a correction in the system. There are some of the macro trends which are not favorable. All of it will play out. But I think looking purely from startup point of view, I feel all the downturns are always really good time for stronger, healthier startup to survive, consolidate their position, do an acquisition if they need to, and just gear up for the good times. The whole thing about what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I've gone through two really bad down cycles in my earlier avatar at Mintra, and both of them ended up making Mintra a lot better than what we eventually became as a result. So I'm very bullish about the startup ecosystem. We know all about the all the unicorns which are in India. The pace of innovation is accelerating. Even today, a lot of very high quality entrepreneurs are coming out, and as this compounds and grow over a period of time, I think we will see phenomenal innovation happening in India. Whatever we see today's valuation or the size of market will pale in comparison of what we'll see in 10 years. I think there's a hardship for next 12 to 18 months. There's no question about it. Some of the excesses need to be corrected. Business models need to be readjusted. I think profitability needs to be taken very seriously. That's the only way any startup can survive for the long term. And some of these cycles are a good wake-up call for all the founders to step back, take a breather, think deeply about their business models, reset things, and gear for the long term. So I'm definitely cautious about the next 12 months, but not worried at all. I think on the whole, it's a good thing for the ecosystem to get stronger and better for the long term.
Mukesh, you talked about the fact that this is also an opportunity to do things differently because there is less investor pressure. Investors also understand the need to slow down the pace of growth and focus perhaps on getting the business model right, on moving towards profitability. But you also said that there isn't that much competition. Is that really right? You truly believe that there isn't as much competition? What about the competition from the large conglomerates, from the super apps that you're also part of building out?
Yeah, I think the exciting part of India's story is the opportunity is so humongous, right? We are a $3 trillion economy going to go to, double every 8 to 10 years, right? So if you take, 10-year lens, we are going to be, getting closer to $10 trillion economy. If you translate that into both into the size of consumer retail that's going to grow, side of, manufacturing that finally because of Made to India is starting to happen in a big way, even IT services kind of growth. I think the pie is just way too big. As a startups, all we need, starting out 10 to 100 million, revenue journey or 100 to 500 million journey. I think there's enough and more space. The key thing is to have that unique differentiation, solving some consumer problem very uniquely, and then obsession about the product, which is so good that people want to, use your product. When I say there is not much competition, what I meant is, there is not pressure for market share. There may be a lot of other players, but what is of more importance is how good your product is, how good your retention rates are, how good your metrics like, LTV to CAC look like, and things like that. I think so companies can do well to focus more inwards and focus more on consumers than focusing on the competitor, which may be going up at maybe a different share of the pie.
Are super apps the way to go, Mukesh?
Super apps obviously offer a huge convenience. If I can have, one app which services most of my consumer needs, ranging from, electronics to, food, fashion, health, travel, all in one place, which is what I think you are leading. Tata News and Attempt, I think it's come a long way. Product is starting to look amazing. It's making very steady progress. And knowing what I know, I'm very bullish and excited about what's to come in next 1 or 2 years.
Mukesh, I want to now talk about another very important issue which I don't think gets spoken of very often. The proceeds of the book Hacking Health, which is Mukesh's latest book, the one that we're talking about, the proceeds of the book will go to the Live, Laugh Foundation, that is Deepika Padukone's foundation. And, CNBC TV18 launched a show on mental health called Invitation to Wellbeing, and we, of course, partnered with LLL as well. So we're aware of the work that they do, and we collaborated with them. I want to understand from you, Mukesh, while we talk about physical health and a lot of founders from the startup world are out there on social media talking about what they do as far as physical health is concerned, talking about mental well-being, emotional well-being, mental health continues to be stigmatized. It continues to be an issue that not many feel comfortable speaking of. I want to understand from you, how do you see this? And also, this is an environment where the narrative is that, the paranoid must survive, and, people are talking about how many miles they've chalked up on an airline. Living out of a suitcase is almost considered a virtue. In that environment, with that narrative that one has to deal with, and an increasingly lonely job of being an entrepreneur, how hard has it been for you personally to deal with this issue?
Right. So let me address both, right? First of all, I think it's about time where the mental health is, front and center of the national dialogue. I think it's a massive, epidemic, that's been just growing, and we all are aware of, the huge mental health issues all around us, we may personally feel it, people in our family may feel it, our friends. We all know it's out there, but it's highly underserved because there's very little discussion about it. There's very few service professionals available around it. The awareness is very low. And as you mentioned, there continues to be stigma around it. I think we are moving into modern India, where we need to get past all such stigmas. We need to acknowledge mental health is just another health issue like many others. We have diabetes issues and hypertension and CVDs, and similarly mental health, needs that kind of attention. You are absolutely right. Entrepreneurship in one area where mental health issues gets really exacerbated because it is a difficult journey, lonely journey. A lot of time you have a lot of self-doubts. You don't know whether you are doing something wrong. You're not able to share your fears, your vulnerabilities with people around you. I know personally a lot of people, who have suffered in the, mentally as part of, their entrepreneurial journey. But the good thing is, we are more and more people are coming and talking about it. You mentioned, what LL is doing. It's incredible, what just one organization has done. I think as part of MindFit, we've developed a complete offering from meditation to yoga to therapy, etc. to address. There are a lot of very interesting startups who come in this space. And it's good that, we are able to talk about more openly. I wish more and more people will come out, talk about it, share their own mental health journeys, as well as help improve the awareness so that more solutions come up and people who desperately need help on mental health are able to get the right solutions.
You talked about how you've gone through many down cycles yourself. What was the coping mechanism, Mukesh, that you depended on, that you used to be able to just get yourself to say,
Right.
all is not lost, I need to take the next step forward?
I think 2, 3 things help me immensely. First and foremost, just focus on health and fitness. I can relate, sometimes from my Mintra journey, in my particularly like really bad days where I feel like I was losing it and I have no idea what's going on, what's going to happen, I'll just take a half a day break. I will cancel my meetings, go back to the gym, work out for 1 hour, 2 hour, and come back feeling, refreshed and charged up and able to focus. I think, and there is a lot of evidence now that physical fitness is a very strong direct correlation with mental health. Your focus improves, your overall, you feel good, you are less stressed and so on. Other is, I had a very strong team around me where we had a kind of open dialogue. We would share all kind of issues, including, things we're really worried about. Sometimes, you will really question whether, you have self-esteem issues and so on that I was able to talk it out, with my core team as well as, some of the board members who are very close to me. So I had that support system around me, as well as, I think fortunately, very healthy lifestyle habit. My entrepreneurial journey did not require me to compromise on my sleep. I always sleep 7 to 8 hours, no matter what happens, barring some exceptions, which has a, fortunately these days, sleep is also getting a lot of attention, which has a deep correlation with mental health. So some of these, I was fortunate to have these healthy lifestyle habits, but and have that, good system also around me where which I was able to count on.
Well, it's good to hear that, I agree with you. I think the physical activity does, of course, just give you the motivation to move forward through the course of the day. But a lot of my producers are asking me what to break up your day for us. What does Mukesh Bansal's day look like? What do you pack into 24 hours?
My ideal days, if I were to manage, like morning 6 to 8 is for fitness, wellness, meditation, morning walk, etc. 8 to 10, 11, I try to focus on my own IC work, where I'm going to sit down with pen and paper, think about things, organize my day, work on tackling one problem to the, best I can. From 11 onwards, 11 to 6, 7 is external meetings, going to office, interacting with the people, all the external stuff. Again, 7 to 9-ish is winding down, closing with the evening meditation, etc. And 10 to 5, or preferably, 9 to 5, I try to sleep and up again at 5 and hopefully and try to follow the schedule 6 to 7 days a week.
So, Mukesh, before I let you go, I'm sure that the entrepreneurial itch continues, and you talked about how you have that me time to go over problems that you want to address and solutions on how you want to address those problems. You've done a bunch. You're currently doing Cult and, of course, working on Tata Neu as well. But what else? What next? Where is the curiosity now leading you?
The thing is, India opportunity is so exciting, Shireen, that there is no matter where you look, there are tons and tons of opportunity. Right now, obviously, I'm heads down focused on what I'm currently doing. I think writing this book also took some time. Hopefully, a time will come where I'll be able to think about my next venture. For now, I'm able to work with some very interesting companies. I was a seed investor in Grow, which has done incredibly well. Fortunately, I was part of Skyroot from day one, which eventually became India's first private space company to launch rocket in space just,
Yes.
few months ago. Few other that I'm actively working on. Hopefully they come to fruition. But mostly I'm very, very bullish about the consumer retail opportunity in India. I think despite, everything we have seen in last 10, 15 years, the rise of e-commerce, etc., we feel we have just scratched the surface of the organized retail, Indian origin brands. We are seeing a lot of activity players like Mama Earth and Mensa and Goat, etc. those are also early signs. I think we'll see a lot of action in further evolution and development of commerce and private brands in India. That's also familiar to me. So definitely that's one area I'm keenly watching.
Well, that's an area that you were, in fact, one of the Indian pioneers, Indian startup pioneers to get into a space that you built out. Mukesh Bansal, it's always a pleasure. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC-TV18. We wish you the very best of luck with hacking health and, of course, with everything that you continue to do in the startup space. It's been fun talking to you. Well, that's it then on this edition of Young Turks. As always, from the team, thanks very much for watching. Goodbye. Stay tuned.